Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan of SportsMemo.com, and you are at Manny's Irish Pub. And this is the Irish Manny's Pub Sports Betting Show, sponsored by Manny, of course. Every once in a while, he hands me a little slip of paper from some of his buddies that, have those type of first names, if you know what I mean. And, he's 3-0, but he's only done it 3 times in the last 6 months. But we haven't had that many shows, but now we will. We're probably looking to go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but if I can get a host to handle the other days that, I can't do it, then that's all the better. And we could do it 5 days a week. I'm just trying to avoid severe burnout ahead of the football season, because we know when football season happens, it's a lot of hours. So welcome to the show, guys.
Season, right?
What's that?
They call this the off season, right?
Yeah, this is the off season. It's only 12 hours a day, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. It's fun. It's entertaining. We had a great U.S. Open, didn't we, Jesse?
I don't know. When was the U.S. Open again?
It's like the last 5 days, counting today.
It's always on Father's Day.
Yeah, it always ends on Father's Day, like Dr. Chuck says. One of my favorite days of the calendar year is I usually get to play golf with my oldest son at this club. Actually, is where we played, and that is quite the place. It is not obnoxious or overbearing, but you better to really enjoy. You better be like a 15 handicap or better. If you're higher than that, you're probably not going to be able to appreciate the course, because it can. There's a par 5 that's like 620, but it plays into the wind and has just a huge waste area, kind of little mini canyon between you and the green, and even at 620 into the wind, you can go driver 3-wood, and just hope to God you get across the hazard. Not even on the green, just to get across the hazard.
Yeah.
And that was the case on Saturday. It was howling. We had the same wind that the U.S. Open wind had, and it was made things pretty interesting. The greens were lightning fast. I mean, you even look at the ball and it starts moving. But I thought personally that this was one of the best U.S. Opens I've ever seen in my life. One was that they awarded that trophy to the superintendent of the whole course, and he deserved it because he did a magnificent job setting that course up to be an extraordinarily strong test and difficult test, but fair. And there wasn't any complaints. And you get bad breaks. Sometimes the ball bounces the wrong way, but sometimes it bounces the good way. The greens were perfect. They didn't lose any greens, but they were fast, undulating. They had poana grass in them, which means in the later the afternoon, the poana grass grows faster than the bent grass, and it's mixed. And it definitely can change the grain. The guys that are playing for the money and the trophy really have a more difficult challenge than the guys that tee off at 8 o'clock in the morning. But I thought, Fitzpatrick really held it together. And that shot he made on 18 out of the bunker with all that pressure on the line, and Scheffler already in the clubhouse, you almost had to think he was going to lose it or there was going to be a 4-hole playoff. Mm-hmm. But that shot out of the bunker will go down in history. His putt on 13 was like a 60-footer, where as he's stroking the ball, the announcer says, well, there's a putt. You just want to get it close. Even within 7 feet is a good putt. And if it just happens to roll in, then it's your day. And doesn't the ball roll in the hole?
Yep.
That was a spectacular putt. But McIlroy, keep an eye on him in the British Open, because he has the game, and he just didn't get the breaks with the putter yesterday, but he had plenty of chances to he had chances to win that event yesterday. But he didn't. It's the woulda, shoulda, coulda club.
Jesse, I think you should ask John his thoughts on, the over-under on Gabriel Landeskog tonight. There you go.
Yeah. Are you watching the hockey game tonight, John?
Is that Gabriel the Angel? No, I do the hockey. I'm actually 20-6 in the playoffs, so I may not know the player names, but I know the data. My models know the data, and it's the one sport that's 100% analytical and no subjectivity with fundamentals or anything.
Yeah.
And I do have side and total in it, but I'm not telling you what it is. and I have 3 prop bets.
Nice. Look at this guy.
So I do know the names.
Any of them on Landeskog?
So who
I'll
the
take
heck
the
is this
under on
Gabriel
Landeskog.
What'd you say, Jess?
I'll take the under on Landeskog.
All right.
Vasilevsky's getting a shutout tonight, so under for everybody on the Avs.
Wow. I don't know how to respond to that other than in about a minute here, I'll have my NHL angle of the day to show.
I think John might be on the over 6.
I think you might be right, but I want you to see why that might be. But I have to find it.
You're gonna need some Kucherov over.
I got to find it first. Or I could just share my screen too, right?
Well, Jess, do you have a 7-0 shutout, and we can all win?
Well, I got the under too, so that's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
Well, you'll like. I think you'll like this. I'm going to share the screen here.
I think we should all cheer for the Lightning because if Colorado wins, the series is over. Everything's over. There's a lack of entertainment for us moving forward if it's a short series.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that?
That's trippy.
Wow. That didn't work. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, well, then we'll just go with this. Jesse Schule. First of all, I won another bet against you, I believe.
I'm running out of pizza money.
I think it was the Angels.
I'm going to have to go get some coupons to pay all these pizza bets.
And Trout hit a homer.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he hit 2. But he still only got paid $280. But anyway, just kidding around. I'm sure you're going to have your turn to be the dog, and I'll be the fire hydrant. But it sure feels like recently I'm the dog. And, it happens. We all switch roles in that analogy, unfortunately. Good thing it's not real. But we're going to bet over in a match with a total of 6 or more goals. We have that. Road teams average 3 or more goals per game on the season. Road team has scored 3 or more goals in 5 straight games, which the Avalanche has done. And the game occurs in the second half of the season, including the playoffs. 84-45 with 10 pushes for 65.5% winning bets. Playing the over. Any comments, Jesse?
It could happen. I mean, the speed at which Colorado plays and the way we've seen the first 2 games unfold, it looks like a natural over. I mean, but I'm expecting and I'm hoping, probably more expecting than hoping because hope is not really a strategy. But we've seen Vasilevsky, the goalie for Tampa, have bad games and bounce back from them. And we've seen it not once, not twice, not 6 times, but many, many, many times to the tune of Vezina trophies, Conn Smythe trophies, back-to-back Stanley Cup championships.
Down 2-0 in the conference finals.
Yeah, I mean, in the previous series, they were trailing 2 games to nothing. And they won the next 4 games, and he allowed a total of 5 goals in those 4 games, 3 goals in the last 3 games. And if he doesn't do it tonight, it's over. I mean, it's do or die time for Tampa.
It is.
And you'd expect to see the best of them tonight. And if they don't show it tonight, it's going to be too late.
And like to Jesse's point, I don't have a play on the side. I guess I'll not give out my play on the total, but to Jesse's point, like maybe if it could happen. If maybe it's just gonna be one of these things where the Avalanche this is a whole different ballgame, and we look back and say they swept the playoffs for a reason because they were just that good. Maybe if the real Avalanche is what we saw last game. I mean, Vasilevsky is phenomenal, and
Yes, he is.
and that's what they're doing to him, and so it's just going to be one of those things. Like I think it was the Sixers, right? That Moses Malone said 4-4-4. That's how many we're going to win, and I mean,
it ended up being 4-5-4.
Yep, 4-5-4. But yeah, I'm with Jesse. I want the Lightning to win because if any of the games can be like Game 1, that was awesome. Game 2 was a bummer, but yeah, I mean, as far as competition goes, the Colorado fans watching are like, "What are you talking about, bummer?" But
well, you mentioned Gabriel Landeskog, right?
Landeskog.
Yeah. Well, I'll give away one of my prop bets, Jesse, and tell me why I'm wrong. Seriously, I'm playing 0.5 over. In other words, he has to get 1 point. 1 point he has to get.
Well, Jesse said that the only reason that he thinks you're wrong is because the Vasilevsky pitches a shutout.
No points to be had.
Well, don't you get an assist for making a good pass or something?
Into the net.
Net, yeah.
Oh. Well, I'd be unassisted then.
An unassisted non-goal.
That's a good point. Well, it's only a 0.5 unit play, so it's hardly worth sweating about. But I kind of thought, why not?
I don't know if bets where we're already holding tickets. I don't know if we're like trying to convince each other just to show our sides. I mean, if we're not, as we're talking about the Diamondbacks and Padres game, maybe we can convince each other. But I mean,
And just because I said Vasilevsky is going to pitch a shutout doesn't mean he's going to. But I don't know what the odds on that are tonight, but it's probably pretty long
I'm
odds.
looking it up. It has to be pretty high.
I mean, the line indicates that they're expecting him to concede at least 3 goals. So
yeah.
Well, here's I also like playing over the first period and over the second period, which goes in contrast. I wouldn't play over in the third period because if somebody has the lead, say 3-0, then it's probably going to end up 3-0 or 4-0.
Oh, go full Arsene Wenger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm looking here. Full game, correct score, 4-0 is 50-1, Jesse. And if you call that right, 4-0.
either team
50-1. Furthermore, 5-0 is 150-1. So you could play both of them. Even 5-1 is 28-1. 4-1 is 22-1. Wow.
We're going to get better odds than anything that lands on 6, since that's the total.
Yeah. Yep.
So 4-2 is 4-2 Lightning is probably the least juice, right?
4-2 is 20-1.
Most right. I'm sorry. Shortest odds.
And it doesn't matter if it's Lightning or Colorado at that.
That is correct.
Just,
oh, really?
Yeah, because the money line is basically, well, it's crossed over now to make Tampa Bay a slight favorite, like -107. I'm seeing after the Avalanche started out as the favorite, I guess. 1-0 is 80-1. But man alive, 4-0. And you said it right here. That's 50-1. 6-0 is 250-1. You might be onto something, Jesse.
I'll be happy if Tampa wins 2-1 or 3-1 myself.
It would be nice if they won, because then it would be potentially that 7-game series I think all of us want to see.
They don't need to just win though. They need to win by Vasilevsky stealing the game and shutting them down. And maybe see the other thing about this series is Colorado's still got a shaky goaltending situation, even though their goaltender's coming off a shutout. He's still only 2 games removed from an injury, and they have a hot goalie behind him. They could easily decide to switch goalies in the middle of the game if a guy gives up 3 early goals. Now and that's what that does to them psychologically could change the series. And in a matter of a period and a half, this series could flip on its head.
Yeah,
and that's what I'm here to see tonight.
Can you, John? How quickly can you pound into your Python and see what? One of the things that I'm thinking as we're talking here is, so you got 7 goals in game 1 with a total of 6, and 7 goals in game 2 with a total of 6. What's the what's that series? What's that series show? Just inside of a series, not second half of season and playoffs. Inside of a series, 2 overs, same total. Yeah, is that something easily accessed?
Yeah, I'll do it right now. So you're saying that both teams went over the last 2 games.
Over 6, third game total 6. I don't know if you can hear me. But.
Yeah. Both games go over the total, and both totals are 6. It may not have ever happened. We'll see. The total greater than or equal to 6.
It just strikes me. It strikes me like the NBA Finals. And is that on my end? Are you hearing any feedback on me? I don't know if that's me.
It could be me with typing in here. If my finger hits the speaker thing on here in this.
But it struck me with just hanging another 6. It just struck me as they want you to take the over. They want you on the over. It struck me as the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals. I think the books were just trying to stop the bleeding, and so they're like home team -3.5, home team -3.5, home team -3.5, and so it as soon as I saw that 6, it just struck me. It's not even a 6.5.
Well, here's the answer. This is for the playoffs. Any round, any game. 17 and 16 and 1 push over under. That's 2 back-to-back overs with a total of 6 or more.
Okay, just do 6. I just want to see the pushes.
Both of them are 6. That's going to reduce the results. Yeah. The home team is 2-8, and the over/under is 4, 5, and 1.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So not much.
So not much.
I think similar to Jesse. I think the books are banking on Vasilevsky doing what he did to what we thought might be the Rangers heading to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Poor Rangers.
Yeah.
I'm going to do
the line does not match the media coverage, and what appear to be the general perception out there is that this is over. Colorado's already won. Colorado can't be stopped, but yet it's a pick'em in this game. And this game, this game's going to determine where we go. I mean, like I said, the series could we could be halfway through this game if it's 3-0 Tampa, and Colorado's pulled their goalie. You've gone from a 2-0 lead to a scary situation for the Avs.
Yeah.
In the finals, this has only happened one other time with totals of 6 or more, and both previous games going over the total. And that game was the last game, because the previous game to that one, both teams had a total of 6 apparently in their clinching game. Or at least one of them did. So that's the only other time that happened was the 7-0 game in game 2. Huh. What about playoffs? And let's do the finals.
Yeah. All right, Jess. While he's looking that up, what do you got with our boy Zach Davies tonight? Yeah.
I had to do a little bit of a bid on the Full Count show for that game, and I said that Davies has actually pitched quite well in his last start against the opponent, and he's been a little bit better lately. So I ended up taking the under in that game.
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen this, but I mean, Darvish hasn't gone over at home yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Davies
and Machado being out was
exactly
playing into. I mean, the line's sort of screaming, take San Diego at home with Darvish pitching. I mean, the price has come down a bit, but with Machado out, and you look at all the damage that he's done from that lineup and what that lineup is without him, it had me leaning toward the under.
Yeah. I mean, Darvish hasn't gone over yet at home. Davies is 7 of 9 to the under. It's a lot of, and that's why you get a number like that.
I think I remember you saying to me, I fade Davies like it's my job earlier this season, but I was in agreement.
I know, and most of my clients are probably shocked because we are full money line Zach Davies. I don't know if I'm even more bullish on the Padres under 3.5, but that's probably my baseball side of the day. Is there's no way. I mean, there's all kinds of things screaming it, but you said it. Machado, no Tatis, everything is screaming that they're going to need about 14 innings for the Padres to score 4 runs.
Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm a hockey guy. Yes. I don't want to talk about baseball yet.
All right.
But did you know that teams in the finals that are playing at home in the current game and were shut out in their previous game are 5-0 last 15 playoff finals?
Wow.
5-0. The over-under, no help. 2-2-1. So how's that? Let's see.
I mean, Jesse said it. There's no value in taking the Avalanche. They want you to. They want you desperately to hop on that cheap 7-0 team. Yeah.
Now, teams in the finals that allowed 5 or more goals. You might want to know that it supports the Lightning 8-4 the last 15 finals in any game. Let's see about 6 goals or more.
You know what I'm interested in? Because it feels to me like you probably have a situation where 75% of the tickets tonight are going to be on the Avs, but 50% of the money is going to be on the Lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that would tell you to take the Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
No question. I like that. I like that take.
Real quick. It certainly feels like that would be the case tonight.
I'm doing one more.
Hard to believe there's a lot of people out there that want to spend any money thinking of the zigzag theory, and they're holding a 7-0 loss taste in their mouth.
Well, this one's not that bad. Home teams in series game number 3 or beyond that allowed 5 or more goals in the finals are 6-4. That's an ROI of 10%, not the greatest. Over under is 6-3-1, and that's a 20% ROI. Interesting stuff. See, once you get me starting to type into the database, it's magnetic.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. So this is interesting because I'm using our company WagerTalk's live odds website, and it is the exact opposite as what Jesse said. I hope that we can trust those numbers as being accurate. I know that they're constantly fluid, but that shows 75% of the tickets on Tampa and just 60% of the money.
Yeah, but you know what I like about that is that it's the less percentage on the money than the tickets. So that means that more of the sharps are on Tampa than.
But that's dollars.
Yeah. So you said 75 on Tampa, 60% of the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I misunderstood. That supports the Avs.
Right.
Mhm.
But sometimes you're right, because it is, it is dollars, but I mean, it's still, people know who's coming in there and placing the bets,
Somebody's got to be laying the big bets.
Yeah.
I include it all in one package now. I don't look at it as the Sharps or the Joes.
Mattress Max not scaring any book to change the line.
No. And
Like-
and at this day and age with the volume
a
they're getting, it's not going to change the line anyway.
Yeah.
In fact, the book would rather not have anybody know that somebody of clout just placed a $200,000 bet on the Tampa Bay Lightning, because then that'll draw the little guys, with their $100 to $1,000 bets, and that's what creates steam.
Mhm.
I don't know if we see steam anymore. That's an interesting topic for another time. I do know sentiment works, and I did a show with Steve Merrill today on Bitcoin and, tying it in with the undervalued nature of the Angels, which Jesse's show. And I think Dr. Chuck was on that show too, maybe, where I abused Jesse's show almost verbally, I think. It was almost a verbal assault, I think, Jesse. I flat out, he does his great breakdown. I said, that's a great breakdown, Jesse, but you're wrong.
He did say that.
Well, it was that's what I wanted to say, but it was, this is a live show too. So, but anyway, that was fun to go back and forth. It does make it fun because we know we're kidding each other, but it's kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
I can't hit you, Jesse, because Chuck's in the way.
Well, that's what I was messing with you guys about, you and Ron. Like, it makes for a good full count show if you guys are just like, and thank you for that recap, Ron. You're wrong. I will take the other side.
Well, John told me that the Angels were better than the Mariners on paper. And then we got into a very in-depth discussion about what kind of things you can use paper for. And yeah.
Like, how do you use paper after a loss?
Mhm.
Or mid-game when you're losing 8-0?
For number 2, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah. I mean, it would be past the second inning if that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Anyway, the Angels won that one
You're in
game.
that Red Sox dugout with all the fried chicken and beer, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you need paper to soak up the grease.
Mm-hmm.
You use paper. You use paper things to wipe things.
Did you guys place a pizza bet on who finishes higher in the AL West standings?
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if John was
Just the American League.
I don't know if I got any
were
pizza left. I think I lost all my pizza to John already.
Yeah, it's fair.
Can't wait. I did a bet with D'Amico that also won. I'm due to lose. I should stop talking so cocky. But it was a bet where, or maybe it was Jesse. I said, my bet is pepperoni, double cheese, large. And if I lose, I'll give you a small plain. That wasn't you, Jesse. I think that was JD.
I don't think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but then you know what happened? I got invited out to Vegas, like he always invites me out, and I got everything covered, John. Win or lose, you come out here and we'll put steak on your pizza. I can't imagine. Somehow I think a night with some of those guys, I don't think I'd be able to make that 8:00 tea time.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and at the meet and greet, we're going to do the UFC fight. I don't know if you guys are going to be there.
When is the meet and greet again?
August 20th.
August 20th. All right.
I'm targeting it for sure.
It's a good time to also sign up for Circa and Westgate too. So I'm going to use it as a whole thing. Plus, I didn't make the last one, so.
Yep. Why don't we do a baseball?
Yeah.
Which game do you want to break down?
Well, there's one game that's bigger than all the rest tonight.
There's so many good ones.
Yeah, Phillies aren't playing.
Two teams tied for first place in the NL Central.
Yep.
The National League Central?
We were talking about that line We were talking about that line off air. It's ridiculous.
Well, I'm seeing it was minus 164 earlier today, but I take it it's probably challenging minus 200.
I don't think so.
I got the better side of that line, that's for sure.
I don't know. I mean, you got the Cy Young guy on the hill.
What are you seeing, Jeffy? I guess I see similar.
Yeah, let me pull up. What do you see on WagerTalk?
Since we're getting close to game time, that is my MLB play today. My premium pick is Milwaukee, and I got in at 150 on the overnight line.
Wow, nice. That's good. Yeah. I mean, I can't remember that they're saying something about Heritage and Consensus are swapped, but it's somewhere in the vicinity of 165 to 180.
Yeah, I think it's 170, and then I think it's just been going up all day.
Yeah.
Just all the money's coming in on Milwaukee.
I didn't get to watch.
Well, I mean, how many pitches did Mikolas throw?
129. 129.
That's the reason why.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's arm is in a sling.
Yeah.
It's probably they're probably looking to throw him out there for 4 or 5 innings max.
Well,
I gotta think that's true. I really do. I mean, to come back from regular rest.
You know, like there are still old school guys out there, and the way that they've treated Wainwright, I don't know if I trust the Cardinals to not have it. I don't know. You know, I don't have a play in this game, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but we definitely talked a lot about Reed Detmers off of that no hitter.
Yep.
And things have not. And I think Miles Mikolas is on a different level than Reed Detmers, but it doesn't always work out. You know, like I'm the first one to complain that it's not like it used to be, and what necessarily changed with these guys. And you know, you hear interviews with these guys like 50s and 60s, and you had to give up 9 runs to even think about getting pulled. And now you get pulled by just putting runners on first and second and having 80 pitches. So I
wonder what Nolan Ryan's highest pitch count was. It had to be.
It was over 200, I think.
Yeah, you'd see the guy just
Yep.
pitch all day.
Right. Well, what's interesting is like we're so beholden to this pitch count. Then why are they throwing pitches in at every commercial break and before they come in the game? And it's just, I know they aren't high stress pitches, but I mean, the way they're throwing that last ball that the catcher then throws to second is a more higher stress pitch than on a 1-0 count or an 0-1 count. You know,
Yep.
I think it's hilarious how beholden some of these guys are to like these pitch counts and this ghost, this, you know, poltergeist that's 100. You know, I mean,
I think you're onto something there, Chuck. I agree wholeheartedly that it is a little stupid.
Yeah, it's just that it's not, you know, are we really going to sit here and think, because they've been talking a lot about this on all the other shows about the NBA. NBA ended, so now it's of course time to immediately be prisoners of the moment. Where does Steph fit in the top 10? Blah blah blah. And you know, no one will shut up about it. But are any of the three of us going to sit here and say that Nolan Ryan at age 27 couldn't be just as good right now? I mean, or maybe the best.
Yeah, that's an argument. I've been thinking about writing an article about this and titling it "Bigger, Stronger, Faster," because this is an argument across all sports, and you hear it all the time today that today's athletes are so superior to the. And the argument that I always like to make is, I saw a 40-year-old or a 39-year-old Karl Malone dominate in his last NBA Finals. He was the best player on the court. Karl Malone at 40, playing a 20-year-old Kobe Bryant, or with a 20-year-old Kobe Bryant, or the up-and-coming 20-year-old. So that's 2 decades of time that's passed.
Yeah.
And the guys that are 2 decades younger aren't over and above athletic. You know what I mean? And if that hasn't happened over 2 decades, why would it happen over 3 or 4?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think if that argument was true, the bigger, stronger, faster, and the new athletes being so much more athletic, so much more dominant than those older eras.
Yeah.
After 2 decades, you'd see some kind of separation there. You wouldn't be able. 40-year-old athletes wouldn't be able to be still high-level competitive athletes in that field if those younger guys were bigger, stronger, faster every year.
And this is the topic, exactly. And we could probably talk an entire week of Manny's Pub about this, but this is a thing where you also have to just use, like you just did, you have to use the right arguments. Okay, basketball, for instance. Obviously, basketball is one of the sports where things have changed a little bit. Bill Russell is a 3 now. He was a 5 period back then. Wilt Chamberlain was a freak because he was 7 feet. Now everybody has 3 7-footers. 2 of them are 40% 3-point shooters. Like, basketball has changed. There are bigger people, but like you said, there's certain sizes and differences where it doesn't really matter. Like, you're telling me Lawrence Taylor, just because he was from the 80s, couldn't go out there and sack Tom Brady right now? I mean, if he was playing right now, it's not a difference. And some of the things where there are differences are because of equipment. Like we talked about golf to start off the season, the show. I mean, Jack Nicklaus couldn't even outdrive whoever the shortest driver is in today's game because of the equipment. Like, I mean, Justin Thomas is my size, and the dude's driving 330 on a miss hit. I mean, like, it's just, some of these things are different, but some of them just aren't. Like, that's why people are like throwing a big fit. No, you can't believe Justin Verlander is still good. Well, he's good. He's one of the best pitchers there's ever been. He's not going to suddenly not be just because he's 39. It's like what Jesse said. Like, why would Karl Malone suck just because he's older? When he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe the best 4 ever.
Well, I think it was Draymond Green that said it, that today's athletes are so much superior to the guys in Cedric Maxwell's era. It was a back and forth between Cedric Maxwell and Draymond Green, and Dre sort of suggested that today's athletes are so much better. And I'd like to see Draymond try and defend Michael Jordan. I'd really like to see that. And I don't think he's going to have any success because he's from a different era.
The only problem, trying not to defend Draymond in this situation, the only problem is the unbelievable overuse of the referee in NBA's game now. And just, I mean, like, let's be serious, speaking of another Maxwell, the most famous shot ever would definitely have been a push-off foul. All 3 referees would have been just screaming, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's argument. Cedric Maxwell played with Hakeem. Hakeem was multi-generational, right? I mean,
yep.
I don't know, but yeah, bigger, stronger, faster. I want to see this bigger, stronger, faster article too, because it's just, some people it's just not the case. Yeah.
I was looking this way because I was looking at my big database, goes back to 1882. But I found Nolan Ryan's no hitter June 11th in the 1990 season. Threw 130 pitches, one more than Mikolas or whatever, Mikolas, Mr. M. I've heard that pronounced so many different ways. I don't know which one is correct other than you start with M. So 130 pitches, 29 batters faced. That means he had 2 walks, so he didn't have a perfect game. 14 Ks. What do you think he did in the next game?
127.
114. Pitched 5 innings.
I bet that was 4 games later, right?
It was on regular rest.
Got rocked.
He gave up 3 earned in 5 innings. 5 walks, because that's another thing you're going to see, I think, with Mikolas tonight is the control. We saw it with Detmers, right? What else can I tell you? That was 114 pitches in 5 innings. Think about that one.
And if we're just
that's a shitload of pitches.
We're just adding fuel to the fire for the inevitable effing Cardinals to win the game tonight. Burns is due for some serious positive regression on some run support, right? I mean, geez. Talk about, the Brewers.
Yeah, you would think.
Brewers have really been feast or famine. But it's almost like, hey, Craig Counsell, Cy Young's on the mound, you're good, get 2. And that doesn't work. But
here's his season. In April, they kept him short, right? He only threw 91 on the opening game, 5 innings, then went 7, 7, and 9 innings. He pitched 127 in that 4th start, then 107, 39 because he completed 2/3 of an inning, 6 earned runs, 4 walks. Not a good day for Nolan Ryan. Then he went 5 2/3 on 77 pitches and gave up 3 earned runs. Probably had a torn Tommy John tendon at that point, but it wasn't diagnosed, and he didn't tell anybody he had pain. Then he threw 100, and then from then on, 5 starts in a row, at least 106 pitches with 130 being the no-hitter. Then the first start in July, 144, 137, 114, then 76, and that was 6 innings, only allowing 1 earned run. It must have been a rain delay that got him out of the game. Then 139, 146, 129, 87 because he got shelled in 5 innings, 114, 103, 119, and then way over 100 the rest of the 6 starts in September, and he went 18 and 12.
Yeah.
What do you think of that, Jesse? I mean, talk about volume.
I think that Nolan Ryan was a freak, though. I mean, I just don't think that I don't think there's that many people that you can compare to him.
3,298 pitches thrown that season. 64% of them were strikes.
But don't you think so? In addition to that,
wow,
by that time, who was it then? Bobby V. I mean, if Bobby V tried to say, Nolan, what do you think? He's like, what do you mean? What do I think? I'm going back out. I mean, they don't.
What do you think the over/under was? The number of times Nolan Ryan told the manager, "I think you better go sit down."
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think you should just turn around and go sit down.
He could treat Bobby V like Robin Ventura, right? I mean,
yeah, yeah. It's interesting, but if my counter to I agree with what you guys said. My counter to it is when you're bigger and stronger and you have more leverage and you're able to do things that your body wouldn't have been able to do 20 years ago, it does put enormous amounts of stress because you're actually doing something you weren't born to do. And it's amazing that the injuries in football aren't more severe because the safety protocols, and this is my little theory, were a very big need and necessity to get done. The helmet protection, the shoulder pads. But you know what it enabled them to do? As the sport evolved and human beings are getting bigger and stronger, technology's helping it, as Dr. Chuck said. It allowed them to hit even harder and run faster, be bigger, more muscular, and just hit even harder because they had the protection. So I'm not saying that they should go back to the rugby days.
Well, even if you just compare it to rugby, there's more injuries in the NFL than there is in rugby. There's more concussions, more of everything. And these guys are running around playing rugby with no helmets, no pads, no protection. And you do not see rugby players laying on the ground injured. They get right back up, and that might be saying something about their character too. But I think, like what John said, they don't have the equipment to protect them, so they don't launch themselves into the hits the same way NFL players do.
That's exactly right.
They can't use the helmet as a weapon. They know that if they go head first against another guy's head, both their heads are probably going to explode. So they just don't do it.
Yeah, in rugby, you don't have the wide receiver coming across the middle with a 260-pound linebacker just lining him up. That's another thing that's different. But rugby is hardly a non-violent sport. I do wish in the NBA, though, and I want to talk to our good friend and pal Tony Finn about this, that the NBA might want to adopt a rule where the referees are allowed to retaliate to the player, not to name any names, Jason Tatum, when you have harassed an official of the NBA, whether he's right or wrong, whether his name is Foster or not, I think a referee ought to be allowed to, drop kick something and, maybe a little hockey, like, a shove, and like, get out of my face. I mean, how would you like it if a same player, this so-called superstar, rent-a-car, right, is in your face after every single missed shot, or even some of the made shots?
Right.
Well, I mean, it's up to the referee. He can tee him up for all that if he wants.
Yeah, but if he's not using the,
I can remember Chris Paul getting teed up for he get called for a foul and he just kind of went like that and bang. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Oh, I do remember that.
It was the female referee that did it too.
I know in baseball, you as a manager especially, and I don't know about the player nowadays, but I know in all the coaching I've done, if I ever did talk to an official between innings, I never did it during the inning. I always felt very strongly that I did not want to disrupt anything, and especially if we were winning. But I would say, I was allowed to say to him, that call really sucked. And I would not be ejected. It's an unspoken rule. But if I said, your call sucked, gone.
Yeah. And they know these people so well, especially like the Dreys and the Chris Pauls. Especially in the NBA and baseball. You guys, do you remember just from last month that Dan Bellino Mad Bum incident where Dan Bellino just instigated the crap out of Mad Bum, and he's checking his hand for the tar and he's just staring at his face. And finally Mad Bum ripped his hand away and said, "What the F are you doing?" And he tossed him.
Yeah, that was wild that happened. I mean, I can't believe
it's because, and I was watching MLB tonight and they're like, people don't like Mad Bum. Dan Bellino was like, guess what? I can get this guy tossed, and they know them so well.
And what is it about Mad Bum that they don't like? Is it his politics or his outspokenness, or
no? I get he's the Jason Tatum of West Coast baseball. I guess every pitch is a strike. He's never thrown a ball. Everything the umpires have done is wrong, and I guess it's well known. And he's crotchety, and he's just never happy. And he takes the ball on his first pitch, and he's pissed off. And I guess it's just one of those things that. It's a known entity in the umpiring world, and Dan Bellino said he was wrong and he probably shouldn't have done it, but I bet he felt good that he didn't have to deal with Mad Bum's constant nagging. And I just wonder, I think maybe these refs, like John, we're all watching the same game. Maybe the refs aren't bothered by this guy. He might feel like a gnat to them that they don't feel, because.
Well, it wasn't just Tatum either. Look at the Nets series. That was the whole Boston Celtics team and most of the Nets. And it's got to get old, but you're evaluated and you're paid a pretty handsome price to do these games. So I imagine you are skilled at having the blinders on, because you can't react to it emotionally. You just got to stand there and pretend you're. Sure, you're hearing it, but you just don't let it process, I guess.
Yeah. One of the things about our coach, John, I put Doc in that same company. Unfortunately, I don't. I'm pretty even on Doc, but man, no player of his has ever committed a foul. That's for sure.
I just remember the one guy down in Aberdeen, Maryland. Probably the closest I ever came to getting thrown out. Wouldn't have been justified, but make a long story short, it was a bang play at third. It was a quarterfinal game. And early in the morning, and this guy looked, he was obviously the Ripken officials are very good. They're licensed and skilled. But I think this guy just had a bad night and called timeout. I walked out to him and I said, I just think your partner had a better angle. I'd like to ask for help. And he looks me square in the eye. He says, do I ask you if you need help coaching? I was like, oh, boy.
Here we go.
Yeah.
You're not winning that one no matter what, right?
And I didn't. Yeah. And then my assistant, who was a buddy of mine, I sat on my bucket and he says, don't even look at the guy because he's staring you down right now. And he just wants you to look at him so he can ring you up. Moral of the story is that one of the tournament directors was there behind the backstop and witnessed the whole thing of how it was treated. And that umpire after the game was suspended for 2 years.
Wow.
So you never know who's watching. That's what I always used to tell the boys. You never know who's watching.
Yeah.
Could be a college scout, for God's sake.
Right.
Anyway, we got a little off track, kind of Tony finish.
That's bar talk.
It is bar talk, right? Getting to know each other. I'm trying to figure out how to get these pizzas from Vancouver, though, Dr. Chuck. That's the problem.
Yeah. You got Papa John's up there?
Yeah, they do.
It's got to be better than that. I mean, no offense to Papa John. It's going to be like a Brooklyn type of thing. Or, I wonder what Tony Finn would eat for a pizza.
I think Tony's got to tell us if he thinks athletes today are bigger, stronger, faster.
Are they bigger, stronger, faster? Of course they are.
Yeah.
But stronger than what? Faster than what? The speeding bullet, Superman, what?
Bill Russell.
Bill Russell? Well,
could Bill Russell be a star in today's NBA?
He could be a star in today's NBA simply because he technically elite. He played the game different than the stars today. Could he be flamboyant enough to be the face of the NBA? I don't know. I don't think so. Bill Russell
and Ryan throw a no-hitter in today's MLB.
Yes, he could. I think he could. I mean, I don't think he could. He also, if he had technology when he was 25 they have today, he probably was throwing 105 miles an hour instead of 100.
And that's another thing. We didn't even get into that, Jesse
and
Tony and John, is, every team, every basketball team has 2 7-footers that can hit 40% from three. Every bullpen has 2 guys that can throw 100.
I sent my first pitch free pick video out, and I started it. It was the Atlanta game. It was Freed against Webb tonight, and I liked the under in the first half of that game because of the two. But my point is this: that it said that situational baseball is dead, and the recent death of the ground ball is something that traditionalists like myself that we grieve over, that because baseball's it's not what it was when I grew up, where you moved runners, you bunted, you peppered before games, you practiced, but you didn't just take batting practice, you took bunting practice every single night.
HR was just talking about this on MLB tonight. It's just like you can't get. He called I can't remember which game they were watching, a situational game, and it was a perfect extra inning, terrible rule situation where they were in the bottom, so they already knew they just needed the 1 run. So they send the guy out there to bunt, and all you got to do is get him to third. He bunts it straight to the third baseman. Shortstop's there to cover, nails the guy at third, and HR's just like, we bunted so much that if all I had to do was bunt it to the first baseman, I could do it.
Yes. Not only that, they just, although I shouldn't say they don't do it, because they do it, or they don't do it enough, and the shift traditionalists will tell you the shift should never work, because we hit the opposite field. Absolutely.
Exactly.
It should never work. In fact, put the shift on me, because I'm going to beat it every time. That's what these guys should be saying.
There's guys like, I watched Jay Bruce in Cincinnati. They put all the outfielders in right field because he refused.
Yeah.
It was pull or
like an ego thing.
Three results in a baseball game. 5 results in a baseball game. 5 results. Walk, strikeout, home run, win, and loss. That's it. That's all you need in the box scores.
It was interference by the catcher.
No, well, I'm saying the 5 primary results. That's true. That's it. I mean, I think about this. In Game 6, last year's CS, the Braves sent 40 men to the plate. 40 men to the plate. We're so,
It's a lot.
40. Only one of the 40 of the batted balls, okay, was a ground ball.
Yeah.
Because of the LA now, everybody in their launch angle and
Well, it drives me nuts.
And
one ground ball. One ground ball. It hadn't happened since 1910.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened in 1910 unless they're using it. They might have been using a helium cowhide loaded with helium or something. I don't know. But.
Yeah. Well, and like to Tony's first half under tonight. Love that play. Normally with Max Fried on the mound and the Giants up, you get a guy on first and you're like, all right, here comes a twin killing. We got this. And now you almost know you're not going to get that.
My question was who induces the most ground balls between Webb and Fried? Fried, listen, the last time these two teams met, I think Fried, and I think of the batted balls when he pitched, I think it was 16 batted balls, 14 of them ground balls.
Yeah.
Because of how he throws that two-seamer and induces.
He's a little bit Keuchel-less.
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely. Yes. While ground balls are in this day and age better, I think one of the things people don't understand is BABIP. Your BABIP is going to be more favorable if you're a fly ball pitcher without quality contact.
Yeah.
That's ideal because the speed of the outfielders, et cetera, infielders playing deep, everything's going to be essentially they morph into a pop up for the most part, or a can of corn.
Yeah.
Which people, when I say can of corn, you guys will all know because you watch baseball, but nobody even knows what I'm talking about. My son today said, "Look at that can. That's a can of corn. Let's go. It's over." He said, "What do you mean it's a can of corn?" I said, "It's a can of corn. Let's go. It's over."
Over.
Done.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable how few.
Yeah, it's just
few
different.
Guys can even hit 50% on a ground
Basketball is different. You know, the 3-point shot changed basketball. Completely changed basketball. You know, I was doing an article.
Not even as much as Steph Curry did.
Well, no, but he had to take how basketball changed scoring, and then he morphed it into.
But the 3-point shot's been around 35 years, and only now are Daniel Tice's able to hit.
Oh well, yes. That's. Listen, I will say this though: you look at the scoring, really didn't. It's true, even though they introduced the 3-point shot, there wasn't that. Even in the early 90s, I remember sitting in the across the street from the Harris. We were at the Mirage. Okay, the Mirage would take a pretty large wager. Most of the books, people have this idea that you can walk up with $1 million up to the sportsbook counter and make a bet, and that's just not. That doesn't happen. In fact, you can't make a bet larger than $5,000 unless you have permission, usually from the sportsbook manager. Well, we could get in 92, 93, we could get down $5,000 at the Mirage. Okay, we get down 5 times, and that was it, unless you had permission. Well, we were all over this in a Knicks game. Okay, I think the total was 177.
Oh yeah.
And the Knicks went almost 6 minutes without scoring in the fourth quarter. And of course, about 10 of us are on the over. And we're just, we're kind of beside. I didn't get too excited now. I didn't get real excited then, but we were all beside ourselves because we had large paper on that game. And for us then, for me now, I mean, with 3 kids in college, $5,000 goes a long ways. So,
especially in 1920.
Yeah, exactly. But before the Great Depression, it was a lot of money. So, so what we did. So here's the deal. Well, the scoring picked up, and within the last 30 seconds of the game, I don't know who it was. I can't remember. I should remember, but I don't remember who. Maybe it's Ewing. I don't know who it was. Somebody. Okay, Ewing maybe. Got a cheap bucket, and we went over. All right, and I'm telling you, the whole room went absolutely crazy because everybody, even people who didn't weren't vested in the game, had eyes on this game because of what was going on. And there were so many of us in money hunt. Well, as soon as they went over and the crowd went crazy, in the room was a regular there in the sportsbook at that time, Joe Theismann. And I mean, it was just as soon as he walked through the door, it was so loud, the cheers and the because of the game. And Theismann, being the modest and humble man that he is, thought that all the cheers were for him. And he's like, "Okay, and I don't have time right now." We lost it,
Oh my God!
Right, yeah, good stuff, really good
I
stuff.
love it.
177 points.
Yep. You don't have to go back that far for that to be the case. Those Dave Yeager Zebo Grizzly teams were popping 180s.
Yeah, but I tell people that now, and they say you're lying. 177. That's a halftime score. I said, I know, right? All right, you're right. I'm lying. I'm just making the story more interesting. No, I'm not making the story more.
Fact check me.
Yeah. Good stuff, though. But the best part about the whole thing wasn't winning. The best part was how everybody was laughing at Theismann.
Yeah.
He thought it was just funny as hell. It was so funny. It's one of those moments you just, I'm quite certain I'll mumble that when I have when my dementia is so bad, that I'm basically talking to the wall.
Modest and humble guy. And
I will mumble that at some point in time, and nobody's going to know what I'm talking about. Tell Theismann that it had to hurt. He couldn't have laughed through that compound fracture.
No, I don't think so.
Hey, we better enjoy telling that story while you can. Before you came on.
They only showed it 50 times on TV, though.
At night. Which one was worse? Was it the
Alex Smith was worse.
No, well, I was going to say the running back for Oakland. His was pretty bad too. I'll think of it here now. It's escaped me. The guy that was it was a military guy, running back for Oakland. What was his name? Shoot. He had a compound. He fractured. It was pretty bad too. And they showed that time and time again. I'll think of this. You remember that too? Yeah.
Remember that Louisville kid in the Elite Eight?
Yeah, that was bad.
Was bad. When the announcers, when color or the analyst has to say, listen, if you you don't like the sight of blood or needles make you faint, you might not want to watch this. But then they show it 50 times. Yeah. It's like, here you go.
Yeah, that was the Theismann thing.
Yeah. Okay, so you bring Finn on, and we're way off track. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Bring the Finn on.
I even referenced you when I digressed. I even said we had a little Finn walk there.
Yeah,
that's Manny's pub,
Somehow we must have known you were going to tell a Theismann story because the bigger, faster, stronger brought up LT.
Bigger, faster, stronger.
One thing I remember with Theismann and that injury was LT right away, instantaneously waving.
And he heard it.
Yeah.
Well, you could see it.
I'm quite certain.
How many times do you have to put it in instant replay to freak out all the wives and children and ladies?
I'm quite certain it shook the ground. The vibration was that snap was so hard that it shook the ground. And I could not have been a doctor, I don't think, because not that I don't like blood. It's something about needles and broken bones, and I never did like needles very much either, especially the ones at the free clinic. No, I don't want to go there. Never mind.
But they're clean.
The only injury worse, I think, is a dislocated elbow, which I saw that on a football field once, and that.
What about?
It's that. A compound fracture. I don't know why they call it compound. They ought to just say it's sticking through the skin. It's broken.
I remember I was a kid watching the Tom Browning. Woo!
Oh, there you go.
right after he hadn't thrown his
Yep.
perfect game. His perfect game was not that far in the past, and he just there his arm was just hanging off. Oof.
Well, you got the Giants guy too that had the cancer.
Oh yeah,
Oh
He
my
did
goodness,
say-
what's his name?
that same Tom Browning injury. Yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
Oh my God, I'll look it up while we do best bets. I already did my best bet, Tony Finn.
You did.
You know why? Because I go against Jesse Schule now whenever possible.
Yes.
You know why? Because he owes me like 17 pepperoni pizzas, but he says they don't make pepperoni in Vancouver.
He bought me a pair of tennis shoes. Yeah, I hadn't sent him the address yet to send them to me, but
Can you be a city if you don't have pepperoni pizzas?
Tony
Yes.
Finn. Tony Finn, speaking of NBA,
yeah. How about this? I owe him a bottle of whiskey, right? So I went online and I said,
Speaking of NBA totals.
yeah, right. I mean, it's because I lost the
You are
NBA total.
importing across state lines and country
Well, I
boundaries.
sent him. I bought one here and sent it, and of course didn't pack it well enough, and it came back to me broken. They said, you know that you're not supposed to be sending alcohol in packages. Luckily, I knew the lady at the UPS store.
You got in trouble.
I ain't in trouble. I'm too old.
I thought you were going to say U.S. Customs.
No, yeah, right. It wasn't going to court. It wasn't going to Canada.
No.
It was just going to someplace in Indiana where they're still holding KKK meetings. I don't know.
What about Cincinnati, Ohio?
This is what he always gets me with.
No, but
Chuck, have you ever collected on that?
what?
I thought.
No, I think it's gonna-
No, listen. I went on to send him one. I said I'm just going to buy it from the store and send it to you next year. Well, that was no problem. I got a good price. It cost me like $50 for the. It was going to cost me $50 bottle. It was going to cost me $80 to have it delivered.
Hey, I don't know the interest. I don't know what the interest rate is out there, Tony, but this is gonna be pappy. By the time I get this, it's gonna be pappy.
Oh well, I got plenty of money in the safe. It says Monopoly on it, and I'll send that
If you
to
want it.
you.
If you want to send some pappy, I'm in.
Plus, I have rich friends.
Yeah.
John, Ryan, he's closer. He can hand deliver it to you.
You can hand deliver it.
He'd like to. He needs a place to go. He's got him a new vehicle. Yeah. You didn't get a new vehicle? You told me you were getting a new vehicle, John.
You got it.
Yeah, you said your old Denali was a year old, and you had to get a new. It had like 3,000 miles on it.
You sound
That was
like
too many miles.
You sound like D'Amico.
What's a Denali?
You're the Cadillac of all SUVs.
Well, I mean, the only car that ends in an I that means anything is Bugatti.
How about Maserati?
Yeah.
Oh, that's not bad. I mean, Ferrari's
Oh,
better.
not bad. No, not bad.
Lotus. I'm a Lotus man.
Well, that isn't in an I, by the way.
Yeah.
Neither does McLaren.
True. Neither does DeLorean.
Right. Yeah.
Back to the Future.
I'd like to have a DeLorean. I think I'd like to have one just to have it like in my driveway, just to see the door open like that. Just sit in and say,
I would have it just to see what the neighbors do when they see it.
well, we'll be looking for a guy with Parkinson's, won't they? I'd be looking for that guy. I
was thinking like I could, dye my hair just pure white. I could be the math professor.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Anything but who was the mother?
I mean, I'm tan enough to be him, right?
Who was the mother in that show? What was her name?
I actually don't know.
You know who I'm talking about?
Which show?
Yeah.
I got kind of I didn't like the fact that mom's trying to hit on the son during the movie. So
Well,
I didn't like that.
out.
I didn't like that at all.
That
It's
made
like,
me
why are
queasy.
you putting this in a movie?
Well, she didn't know because he went back.
It doesn't matter. You know these things. It doesn't matter. You know
Does
these
it matter?
things. If I meet my sister in a bar, first thing I'm gonna do is tell a bitch to get out of my way. You shouldn't be drinking. You know you can't drink. That's what I would tell her. But it would. Even if she was disguised, I'd know it was my sister. Something about relatives when they're close. Wives.
Well, she thought his name was Calvin Klein, for goodness sake. She had no clue it was her son.
That weirded me out too. How is she seeing his underwear? That's not right, man.
So what we've learned today is that Tony Finn is inviting Joe Theismann to the meet and greet, and he is not a fan of Marty McFly going back in time.
No.
I am going to have to norm my way out of here, but I am going to, before we go, take the Padres team total under 3.5.
Padres team total. Okay.
Team total under negative 20 VMI. Zach Davies is no longer on my shit list, and I think he is.
Why? Was he ever?
He is a spectacular FIP minus ERA beast. He's righted that ship.
I don't ever get mad at players. I usually get mad at myself for not knowing the player well enough.
Fair.
That's easy.
Yeah. That's very fair. But you'll get to know Joe Theismann better.
I know Joe Theismann.
I've never gotten mad at Ben Simmons.
I have never got mad at Ben Simmons.
I haven't had a chance to.
I never was physically attracted to Ben Simmons. Nor was my money ever attracted to Ben Simmons.
So Dr. Chuck is under 3.5 runs San Diego Padres. And he's got to vacate the premises. My best bet is over in tonight's hockey game.
I'm also with Jesse. Go Lightning. Make it a series.
What's the total in the hockey game? Is it about 8?
6.
See you guys.
Okay. See you, Doc. Hey, never mind. He's gone.
Total is 6.
This high definition television really. I need to shave. I need a haircut too.
I just noticed that.
Well, that's the life of a wife. If it's time for a shower, this time of year, if it's time for a shower, you go jump in the pool.
Yeah, but nobody can tell you need a shower.
Oh, when I work out in the yard for 6 to 4 to 7, my wife
you're
says,
not doing shows. Nobody sees it, right?
No, they don't see it.
Not
My
where you live.
wife won't even let me in the house. You stink.
It's only the desert animals that see you.
Oh, and they like that scent. That's the problem.
Oh my God, Jesse, aren't you glad you live in Vancouver?
Yeah, for now.
Or Alberta, wherever the heck it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, my free bet was the over tonight, and I liked Gabriel, Jesse Schule's favorite player, over.
Gabriel
Landeskog.
Oh, I thought we were talking about the quarterback for Oklahoma.
Or Roman Gabriel.
Ooh, Roman Gabriel, Rams. Yeah,
there was a stud.
Yeah, he could probably wear hose just about like Namath too, and probably still attract the women. Yeah,
it's all that matters.
Handsome man.
At the end of the day,
handsome man.
But that's those are my bets.
What's Jesse's free pick?
I am going to take a team that I have not bet on all season long. The Pittsburgh Pirates. I have not bet on the Pirates yet this year.
Listen, you're not the only one in that line. I think.
Best losing record in baseball.
I said that this is going to be the first time I bet on the Pirates, and it might be the last time that I bet on the Pirates, but they're playing the Cubs. They are actually a game and a half up on the Cubs in the standings. They got more home wins than the Cubs have road wins, and they're coming off a win. The Pirates are. They're sending JT Brubaker to the mound, and Brubaker is 0-7, but his ERA of 3.21 over his last 5 starts. He's been pitching better and better, probably good enough to get a win if he's playing a team like the Cubs, who have lost 17 of their last 22 against teams with a losing record. And yeah, I mean, the only time I'd ever bet on a team like the Pirates is if they were playing a team like the Cubs. So
I love it.
Well, why not?
Yeah, the Cubs are not so good.
Yeah, no. Well, they're not, but they just took 2 or 3 from Atlanta, I think, right? Or 1 or 3. It didn't matter. They beat them once.
At least one.
Yeah. I'll make mine quick. Should I do a different one than I did for the first pitch? So I'll do a different one. Okay. I'm gonna take the. Well, No, I'm not. I'll tell you what. I'm going to do this, which is I got a 4 under in that Giants and Braves game. That was my free pick. Under Giants and Braves, under the 4 with listing Webb and Freed. Okay, I'm going to go under 8 full game. I'm going to play. We'll just go ahead and press we'll just double up on it and play a 3% under, 3% under first 5 and game. And these two guys they introduced a ton of ground balls, man. There are 2 lineups that want to hit fly balls. So it depends on the school of thought you're from. I read all the time how ground ball hitters have more success against fly ball pitchers. I've never understood that. I don't know this, and I've read the metrics and I read the theory, et cetera, et cetera. I don't buy it. I think that if you're a ground ball pitcher and you're a guy who's looking for a certain launch angle and that's your swing, that if you catch it just right, then you're going to put the ball in the air. But I think
that's what I hate about it.
Yeah, for the most part, you're going to be hitting not just ground balls. You're going to be hitting dead ground balls, which probably exit velocity of 70 miles an hour because you hit the ball hit the dirt 5-10 feet from home plate, which really slows the ball down, by the way.
Yep.
So it's first half end game under with the Giants and Braves and Webb's. I don't know that swing and miss rate on Webb's slider right now. I mean, his last 2 starts, he wasn't very good early on. Call it late spring or a shortened spring, and pitchers still kind of getting into their rhythm and such. But his swing and miss rate on that slider jumped from 26.8 in May to 35.7 in June.
Wow, that's huge.
Yes, it is.
That is big time.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the other thing I've noticed too, guys, is that with these uppercut teams, and not all of them are, St. Louis is a team that I kind of like watching because they actually do remember occasionally how to advance the runner, hit behind the runner, and that's why they're in first place. But the most effective pitch against these teams that want to launch home runs, like the Milwaukee Brewers, who are batting like 233, but ranked 3rd in Major League Baseball with 1.34 home runs per game, is a heavy sinker. It's not the slider. People I think are missing the point with that. A curveball thrown with, say 2,500 RPMs and is barreled up and comes out at 110 miles an hour ball speed is going to go further than a 102 mile an hour fastball with 2,000 RPMs and the same exit velocity. It's a law of physics. It was proven at MIT.
Yeah.
I kid you not, actually was proven. But that's why, if you get a breaking ball pitcher that relies on that pitch, I can't think of any names that come to mind right now, but if they're matched up against that launch angle team, you probably don't want to take the guy that's pitching. But you have a guy like Alcantara comes to mind, and he has a heavy sinker, rides in on the right-handers like you read about.
Yeah, heavy. So there is such thing as a heavy ball. Perfect. There is a heavy ball. When you throw a heavy ball,
And I think that's what it's all about. I mean, that sinking fastball is the pitch you need. It's not or maybe a changeup.
Well,
the same arm slot.
Changeup just disappears. A good changeup just disappears. You think it's still a fastball because of the deception. So yeah.
So anyway, we did our free best bets for the show. Any of you guys have anything big going tonight on $9 Monday at SportsMemo and WagerTalk?
I have a 5% base. I have a 5% Diamond Dandy. Yes.
Nice. Well, make sure you get it because it only costs you $9 because it's called $9 Monday. Believe it or not.
I know it. I'm going to go buy it. So I remember what it is.
I already gave up my baseball on the show.
What do you got, Jesse?
I got to play on the Brewers. I already gave out the play on the show.
The Brewers. Listen. I like the Brewers. I like Corbin. I like that his velocity's back to it, pretty close to what it was last year. I think that's really why he's had so much hard contact, Jesse. His hard contact rate was much higher in April and May than it was last year. And he, if you look at it, he gave up 7 home runs all of last year. 7. He's given up 10 already this year. Because they're mad, he just hasn't had that velocity that 1 or 2 miles an hour is a big difference. That it's a big difference in a foot race, 1 or 2 miles an hour. And
I did get a decent price on the game. At least it's been bet up quite a bit.
Yeah, I bet it
up on the overnight line at 150. So
I just don't trust the Milwaukee offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem. And
I agree.
they did score a little better. They did hit the ball a little better this weekend, But
any thoughts on that high pitch count for Mikolas in that near no hitter?
Well, we talked about it. We talked about it in the first pitch, and Mid-Major Matt brought it up, and his questions were he doesn't really know. He doesn't know what to do with Miko because of that. And I said to him, I really don't pay. Not that I'm right. I'm just saying I typically, it probably shouldn't be ignored, but I do. On pitchers like Miko, who are basically guys who right now his 0.97 whip and his 2.63 ERA are a mirage because he only has a 19% K rate. He pitched the contact. His BABIP is like 240 and his strand rate's close to 80%. Those are unsustainable numbers for a guy who only strikes out 2 batters a game. It's just you can't sustain that with professional hitters that can hit a ball 110 miles an hour.
Before you came on the show, Tony, real quick, I went through Nolan Ryan's career a few years, not the career, but I identified a couple of situations where he threw more than 130 pitches. One of them was, Jesse, what was it, 144 he threw in the no-hitter back in 93?
170 in a no-hitter, I think. Didn't he?
Well, yeah, there was more for sure. Yeah. But the ones we identified, he did have struggles, even though he was a freak, as Jesse said.
Right.
He struggled. So what do you think is going to happen with Mikolas? He's been struggling ever since.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. Yeah, he does. First off, like I said, he's a subject of many discussions in the future. Him and others like him that they're too dependent on batted ball luck. And I've always said I've had arguments with guys, even Dave Koken and I disagree on this. Dave doesn't quite agree with me on it, and that is you're never going to be elite. You're never going to be elite unless in the orbit we live in, baseball orbit we live in, unless you miss bats. You have to miss bats. That's all because of these hitters. That's all they do is tinker with their the $6 million gadgets that are in their arms and their shoulders and legs and amazing stuff. How these professional hitters can hit anything with their eyes closed. They can hit, So I don't pay attention much to that, John, because Miko doesn't stress himself every pitch like a Nolan Ryan did, or
that's true.
You know what I mean? Those guys are hard throwers, 130, 140 pitches, unless they're used to it, unless that's been part of their MO for years. And, they have R.A. Dickey's issue. R.A. Dickey, rubber arm Dickey, had no tendon. He could throw and never, he could throw 1,000. We're going to bother him anyway, So I think that's my point. And that is, I didn't consider Miko some 129 pitches would bother a guy like him, like it might bother, like it might bother a guy who throws 100 miles an hour or 98 or 99 100 times in a game, which is, if you've seen film, you guys have seen film of what happens to your arm when you throw that kind of
Yep.
When you put
Plenty
that
of
kind of
times.
stress on it. Wow, that tricep muscle, it's almost completely turned, and it's become your bicep muscle. It's a freaky looking thing, you know. It really
Look at
freaks
Billy
me out.
Wagner. Orthopedic surgeons actually proved that he should be breaking his arm.
Yeah,
He's only 6 foot. Really, I think he was probably 5'10".
yeah. Ron Guidry,
185 pounds soaking wet.
Ron
And
Guidry too.
yeah, there you go, another one.
Yeah, he threw a hard, and he couldn't. What was he, 140 pounds soaking wet?
Yep.
Yeah.
I was trying to find the year that Josh Beckett threw that no-hitter that I saw. He threw like 136, and he was never the same.
Yeah. Well, Dusty Baker still doesn't care. Listen, you remember Mark Pryor?
Yep.
And his compadre, when Dusty Baker had those two guys, Wood at in Chicago. Listen, Dusty Baker didn't believe in pitch counts. Well, a little bit more now, I think, but he didn't then, and both those guys were ruined. They were ruined. I don't know, somebody's rapping. Somebody's spinning some.
That's not me.
Sorry, guys.
It's time for the party. Break out the beer.
Oh, here's the no-hitter.
Yeah.
It was 128 pitches. But then the rest of that season, well, no, he went 5 starts without throwing more than 5 innings.
Yeah.
So that obviously wasn't Davey Roberts managing that team.
Yeah. I just you get me
That's
interested.
interesting.
You got me interested, John. Okay, listen to this. What I just did I just sent an email. I didn't see it, but then I thought, let me go to this web. Let me go ahead and look this up, and I did. And Miles Mikolas making his first ever major league start after going at least 8 innings in back-to-back starts too. And
That's a great
129 pitches, first time ever. His previous high was 115, and that came 4 starts ago.
And that's a lot.
He's thrown 641 pitches. 641 pitches he's thrown over the last 6 starts.
I lean that he gets shelled tonight. I'm sorry. No offense to him personally. I just think that arm is going to be.
Yeah, it's a heavy. This is a guy who missed 3 or 4 months last year to an arm injury, I think it was, and so that's people. I mean, the way they stress themselves. Maybe he does stress himself, but a guy who throws 91, I think of him kind of as the a neighborhood batting. He's one that pitches batting practice in our neighborhood.
It's still stress.
Only throwing 91.
You watch anybody throw a 90-mile-an-hour fastball with that.
Oh yeah,
like you said.
I could never throw one. I couldn't even throw 90, and I came close. I could throw high 80s. I could never 90, 88. I throw 4 or 5 balls, and I'd say it's time for a Arnold Palmer with some vodka. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll call it a show, gents.
Okay. Very nice.
We covered everything that's going on over at SportsMemo and WagerTalk, so we'll call it a show here. We'll be back. I think tomorrow we have quite an interesting guest coming on the show. You guys are obviously regulars, and nobody has ever turned away from Manny's Pub.
How many people will get on the screen? How many people can we get in this room?
10.
Well, then somebody's going to be turned away if we have 10.
Well, it's including 10, and the 11th person would have to wait until I decide who I'm going to throw out of the bar.
Who's the guest?
So 10 on the show and unlimited backstage, right?
Yeah. Unlimited backstage. So
I'm fine backstage as long as that's where they keep the drugs and the Quaaludes and all that,
First in, last out is my theory. So if you've been a regular on this show, you're first in. And if you're a newbie that now sees that the views are starting to go up as we get closer to football season, say, and you suddenly want to be on this show,
well,
I can sit well with me.
As soon as we start attracting more than 10 viewers, I want to be on this show too.
Well, last year we had a couple that were like around 3,000-4,000, and then we had football season ruin everything. But I say that tongue in cheek. I mean, this show is supposed to be for those that want to get a little bit more than just the traditional show that is what WagerTalk and SportsMemo provides, which is basically watching the TV show. It's 30 minutes, bang, bang, bang. We got our ads.
Plus, I don't want that.
It's structured.
Yeah,
This show is not.
I want to be entertained. I want to be effing entertained too. You see, I'm pretty picky. Yeah. If I'm going to watch like All-Star, if I'm going to watch wrestling, I'm watching women wrestle. Oh, I'm going to be entertained.
You big fan of the Lingerie Football League, Tony?
No, I have never watched one of those. I did see some still photo shots, and I said, this might be fun.
It's not bad. I mean, I don't mind it.
Can you imagine a show where we're handicapping that?
I would have to say, listen, I wondered if a guy could get some real live experience with the girls in lingerie, so we can really understand how to handicap this.
You could be the sideline reporter, Tony.
Now, no, because if I'm the sideline reporter for women's lingerie football, then everything that I said about the women who are the sideline reporters for NFL, all that's going to come back and hit me right upside my head because I have not been kind to most of those girls,
Well, you could always pull the Joe Namath in the Super Bowl,
Yeah. Oh, I want to kiss you.
And what are you going to do next, Joe? Well, actually, I think I really want to kiss you.
I think I'm going to Disneyland with my pantyhose on.
Yeah, that is a classic moment. Clearly. Anyway, thanks for your time, Tony Finn,
Okay,
Jesse Schule,
thanks,
Dr.
guys.
Chuck, who had to leave. I guess he must have had a patient situation. But we'll be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard
He's starting
Time.
to kind of shake a little bit. He was, and I think it was some DTs. He had to go get himself a beer. I hope you're watching. Hope you're watching, Doc.
He's addressing it.
Okay.
All right. So
thanks for having us.
Things. Let's let Jesse Schule take us out tonight. Go ahead, Jesse.
All right, everybody out there, remember, bet with your head and not over it, and may all the wins be yours.
Amen.